Welcome friends to some online battles as the Vampire Coast. I haven't done any online battles for a while. I haven't really played Total War very much, to be honest, for a while. Not Warhammer anyway, so I've been trying to get back into it a little bit, as I do intend to do the Vampire Coast Army Guide, of course. Don't worry, don't be asking, it is going to be coming. So I've been testing out my theories in the world of online, seeing if everything I think about the Vampire Coast really does work, which is that you need to shoot everything, basically. So my front line is just some polearm deck mob, with some depth guard who I'm going to mix in there to give them some holding and killing power, as well as some sirens on one side. And then I've got 3 units of missiles, 2 normal deck gunners and 1 shade wraith deck gunners, so lots of firepower. I've got the carronade artillery and Count Noctilus on a necrofex, so a freaking ton of killing power at range. Some more sirens back there, and I've even got a bloated corpse down here. He's going to try and do some damage. I'm running him away because there's a manticore coming that could take him out pretty easy. So yeah, going to see if I can do much against this Chaos army. Got some Demon Spew, Chaos Marauders, Great Weapon Chaos Marauders, Halberds. I've noticed people tend to bring a lot of infantry against the Vampire Coast. The more targets you bring for them to shoot, the harder it is for them to take them all out. So it's usually a good idea. Chaos Spawn, a Manticore. His Lord is just a Chaos Lord on a Dragon, I believe. He's taking a hammer in over here though. Just leaving him a bit too close to my old deck gunners. He's got a lot of skirmisher cav as well. 2 units of throwing axes and some horse masters as well. Trying to whittle down my artillery from range. And the manticore's coming in. And my bloated corpse is going to get a bit too close to the manticore. And even though the manticore wasn't looking at him and didn't do any damage to him, he exploded and pretty much killed my deck gunners. So there's a good example of how bloated corpses can backfire on you. So that's a strong start for me. Depth guard are coming in, using all my cheap units just to absorb charges and to help out that depth guard to stay alive. And I've been using my sirens to chase off some of that skirmisher cav. This manticore becoming a problem. He's into another unit of my missiles now and I need those firing, so I've got to try and get rid of that as quick as possible. These ones also causing a problem, blasting away at my carronade, but going to drop a bit of shades on them. They're the horse masters, so I need to get rid of them. And here come the Chaos Spawn around the back and some more Chaos Marauders, so lots of problems facing me at the moment. But it's early days, still plenty of time to turn this one around. My front line is holding particularly well. My depth guard should chew through lots of marauders pretty easily. They're not going to be too much of a threat to them. My sirens just protecting that flank, protecting those deck gunners. Still some more infantry coming up for the Chaos. So he needs to get through my front line, and if he does, it's pretty much game over for me. I'm trying to get rid of these Chaos Spawn before they can really do any damage, but easier said than done. Managed to rout off the Manticore by sending old Noctilus in melee. Going to engage these from range. He should probably charge these in though. They would take out those deck gunners pretty quick if he charged them instead of trying to shoot them, because he's probably going to lose a ranged fight with deck gunners. Even 2 units I think would probably lose that. They are very powerful. These Chaos Spawn coming after my Shade Wraiths. Only got them down to half health, so I'm going to need Noctilus to try and sort them out, or they could be a problem. And the Manticore's lost control and is fighting some anti-large, so that's good for us. And it's mostly the large units that are causing problems for us, the cavalry and the monsters. This infantry is being held back well enough. Got the sirens in there, getting on some of the heavily armoured units. He's maybe missed a trick here. If he could get up this part, I'm not sure if he can. It might be blocked off by the map, but if he can, he could get some flanking in. Going to drop another pit of shades to try and get rid of some of the skirmisher cavalry, as it has gone after my deck gunners, and they're nearly done for, but it didn't really do a great deal. So I've been heavily overrun by Chaos from behind, but my front is holding well enough. Noctilus has taken some hammering from all of his skirmisher cav, but he's alright. He's not too bad. He's getting a bit of work done, putting some damage in. My Shade Wraiths, though, are in deep trouble. They're surrounded by marauders on both sides, the infantry and horse variety, so they're in trouble, but I have broken some of the front line. A lot of these Chaos units routed away, which frees up a bunch of my sirens and things to come and save the day. Getting a rear charge on this cavalry. The combination of fear and terror and everything else, and the rear charge penalties, going to get rid of that stuff pretty quick. Using some spawned up deck mob to chase things off. Got anti-large fighting the Chaos Spawn, so things are starting to turn around. Still got a few Chaos units over here to sort out. And his Lord is still in good nick. He's only just come back to the fight though. He has been out the fight for a while. Got the fireball on old Noctilus. He took it like a champ. He's going to lay some fire back, hopefully. Come on. Shoot him. Here he goes. Kashmong. Pow, right in the kisser. That Chaos Lord taking a hammer, and I've just used another Noctilus ability there, just to rout off these marauders, which it did perfectly. So we're starting to pick apart the Chaos army, but they are coming back. They're all in pretty bad shape though. So I'm going to have to rely on the fear and terror here to keep these units routing. Going to use my spawned up mob to just chase things off, chase off the skirmisher cav, just so they're out of the fight for now. And then eventually they'll be the only things left. He's bringing in his dragon to try and do some damage to my remaining infantry, but might be too little too late. I've got anti-large in there. He's at half health. I've still got Noctilus going after him. So, slowly turning in my favour. It was looking like he was going to have me early. He neutralised my ranged units well. I didn't really get to do a lot with them before he arrived. And that, of course, is the big strength of the Vampire Coast. But I do have Depth Guard, who are very strong units. They've held back a lot of his infantry, which have given me the fighting chance here. Noctilus as well, doing a good bit of work. The Sirens and their physical resistance probably helping, because he doesn't seem to have really any magical attack units or anything. So not a lot of ways you can deal with them. I'm healing up old Noctilus, still firing at his general. But the front line has been mostly destroyed by my units now. My Sirens and my Depth Guard and some of my zombie deckhands have held up. Just trying to get rid of this general and we should be laughing. But the Chaos Army is very spread out as well, which is going to make it hard for them to kind of support each other. I'm starting to bring all my troops back and regroup, so I can defend this last little wave of attacks that he brings on me. He's still launching fireballs. Not sure they're doing really enough damage to warrant them. Still wavering his lord. Not quite scaring him off yet. But this is literally my first battle with the Vampire Coast Online. And they've been out for about a month now, so people have had plenty of time to get used to them and figure them out and figure out how to deal with them. So I was wondering how people online deal playing against the Vampire Coast. And this guy's done fairly well, neutralizing my ranged capabilities. He used his skirmishers to whittle down some of my artillery, and obviously he inadvertently used my bloating corpse against me, which was kind of my own fault really. But it's not much different just to fighting any faction with a ranged build, I guess. Fireball coming in from the Chaos Lord. Can my Necroflex get his shot off? No, he can't. He takes the fireball again like a champ. Is he going to give some back? Yes, he is. Oh, right in the chesticles. Don't think the Chaos Lord enjoyed that too much. Spell going off here. What is it? Oh, the Flaming Sword of Ruin. That's going to be pretty good to use against my Sirens, as they are ethereal. That magical damage will take them down, but too little too late, as the rest of his army is going home. So, good game to my opponent. He did well to disrupt my missiles, but he needed to break through my front line and cause some problems there. But he didn't really have the infantry to do it. If he brought his lord back a bit sooner and used some of the breath attacks and stuff, he might have had a better chance. You see, my missiles didn't really do anything. It was all the power of the Depth Guard and the infantry that mostly got the work done there for me. Chaos Spawn doing well for him. This frontline infantry, very little work. Yeah, there we go. There's battle 1. On to battle 2, this time against Norska, who's a faction I thought we'd do pretty well against, given that their leadership is so low and we have fear, which is going to bring their leadership down from the get-go for the most part. And I've been trying out similar sort of builds in all of these battles just to kind of get a feel of what works. So most of them are kind of ranged heavy, relying on that ranged firepower, as the Vampire Coast are of course supposed to be played. But it'll be interesting to see what kind of different ways you can play them. Is there potentially ways that you can win as the Vampire Coast without any ranged units at all, or with very little ranged power? I'm sure people have got pretty creative already and found some ways, but a lot of the Vampire Coast units are a bit lackluster in melee. I know a lot of people aren't a fan of animated hulks, as they don't seem to do a great deal of damage, which they don't. They need more melee defense or armor, I think. But similar build again, polearm deckhands up front. Oh, I've got some bombers in this one actually. I thought I'd try and disrupt some charges. I was expecting berserkers. I thought this would be a good way to disrupt their charges and get some counter charges in. I've got more Depth Guard again. Lots of killing power. I thought they'd do well against Norscan infantry. I've got 3 units of those. I've got a mortar this time, as I noticed the map was a hilly one in Doom Reach, I think this is, or Doom Gate. And then Noctilus again on the old Necroflex. And that is the bulk, the main part of my army in the middle of the map. Off in the trees, I've got 1 unit of Morngulls and 1 unit of Scurvy Dogs for a little bit of flanking fun, shall we say. And some deck gunners over on the other side, just to have a little bit of an air advantage. I can whittle away at some units. But, as you can see, my enemy's army is a large one, to say the least. He's gone pretty much all infantry. It's mostly marauders and great weapons. There are some berserkers across the back, so he's gone to catch me out with all infantry, which, well, he definitely has done. He's got a marauder chieftain on a chariot, a wizard on a chariot, and that's pretty much his army. So he's going very simple, almost a spam army really, because it's very simple, but the tactic is just to catch me out with infantry and bring no large, which he has done. So I'm just trying to do as much damage as I can here to all the individual units. So you can see I've whittled a little bit of health off of all these front ones, just so I can lower their leadership. You can see this flaming skull. It's going to go right through the middle of my units. Very kind of it, just to completely miss my units. But yeah, I know these Chaos Marauders have low leadership and I have fear, which is going to work against them pretty well. So if I can hurt them a little bit, it's going to give these deck mob a chance to get rid of them. That fire spell went straight through his unit, hilariously as well. The bomb's coming off here, going to do a little bit of damage. Going to engage my depth guard, just so I can whittle down their leadership and beat them in a war of attrition, really. I'm not going to beat them in pure killing power. The Berserkers are going to be a problem. I've engaged some of them over here. Oh, I do have a bloated corpse as well. He's making his way through the trees. I sent him after some Berserkers. He's got to try and catch up to them though. But as is incredibly evident, he has the numbers advantage, so flanking is going to be on his side. I'm holding the front line pretty well. I'm going to be able to get rid of a lot of these units, rout them off. He's sending his general after mine now. Should be okay. I've dropped a Pit of Shades on some Berserkers. Chaos Marauders here, getting rid of those. But the flank is real. He's bringing a lot of troops down my right side. I do turn some depth guard around and send them towards that side, because one unit of depth guard could probably take out 2 or 3 units of Chaos Marauders very comfortably, I'd think. Coming around this side as well. I'm going to bring the bombers back to meet these, just to hold them off from flanking my front line. But he's going to leave. He's going to leave for some reason. He was doing okay. I was routing off a lot of his front line, but for some reason he quit out. I think he left anyway. He may have got disconnected, but it seems strange that he would have left, because it did seem like he was probably going to win because he had so many more troops than me. At least it seemed like it. He was overrunning me. He's only got 5 really, but we did the little bits of damage. We were wearing them down, but maybe he knew his leadership wouldn't survive. But I think his Berserkers would have chewed his way through me anyway. But there's battle 2, sort of. On to battle 3, which is against the Lizard Men. And these are literally the first 3 battles I played, even the one where the guy left. I thought I'd just show you the first 3. And honestly, I think that second battle I just showed was probably a loss. I don't think I was going to win that. He had too many Berserkers left. His infantry was going to overrun me. My depth guard would have got worn down, and that probably would have been the end of me. So we'll call it 1-1 so far with a similar build. And that's really the way to catch ranged builds out, is to bring a lot of troops, because they can't shoot them all. And eventually when they get hold of them, they're going to be done for. Now, my build is a little bit different in this one, as I've gone for basically no good infantry and all the firepower. So I've got loads of deckhand mob, polearm and normal mixed in on the front. I've got some other ones scattered around, and I've got 2 units of deck gunners with shade wraiths again, protecting on the flank with deck mob, more deck mob. And then I've gone all out on the artillery. I've got the big old lady, Queen Bess. She's going to hopefully destroy some lizards quite comfortably. And then I've also got a carronade, and then a necrofex as well, who is not my lord. That's just a necrofex by itself. My lord is old Silostra Diarfin. And I've also got a Morngol Haunter to help protect her in case anyone should go after her. 2 ethereal units should smack the crap out of anyone who comes after her. So yeah, no elite infantry here. Putting all my hopes in my ranged units. Got to do plenty of damage to them before they arrive. Otherwise, I may be in some serious trouble. Queen Bess dropping some bombs on some cavalry. Pretty much misses. Does a tiny bit of damage to these Cold One Spear Riders. And that is part of my enemy's flanking force. There's some Skink Cohort here, upgraded. Frontline Asaurus Warriors. Who else? More Skink Cohort. More Cold Ones out wide. There are some Temple Guard back here as well. Got to try and put some damage on them, because we're definitely not out grinding them with any crappy deckhands. Krokgar Cardosaur and Feral Bastillodon. That is his army. And a Skink Chief as well, actually. Yeah. So fairly typical Lizard Men build. Pretty much standard. So got to try and do as much damage to these important units before they arrive. And the cavalry is a big part of that. I do not want to get flanked. So putting a lot of firepower into them. Got to try and protect my flanks as best I can. My deckhands will hold well enough. And again, just like in the Nautical battle, I've got to try and whittle down some of their stronger units, which is going to be the Saurus Warriors. Whoop, in this case. And just like the other guy, he's brought a lot of infantry because he's got those extra units of Skink Cohort. So he's going to try and get round on me in that. He knows that numbers are going to be a good idea here. He's hidden his other cavalry in the trees. They've taken a fair pounding though. The other one's coming around my left flank. Going to start to focus on that in a minute with some of my artillery. It's coming through the trees, and the deck gunners are going to start popping off. Going to start damaging. Oh, Queen Bess as well. Oh, a nice hit there. That one's down to half health already, so you can see I'm going to switch targets. Try and get some damage on some different units and just whittle them down and hope that we can sort of outlast some broken Saurus Warriors, because I really have no hope of outlasting Saurus Warriors with deckhands mob. Done a nice bit of damage to this cavalry with my carronade. There's a very strong artillery, I think. It seems to be... I feel like it's better than a normal cannon, but maybe I'm wrong. His cavalry are braving it. They're charging towards these deckhand mobs, but really they should be going around them. He's got plenty of room. I made sure not to be corner camping, of course. I am just trying to use this hill. Got to try and protect Queen Bess and my carronade, but he's missing the opportunity to get after those by just charging into these deckhands pointlessly. Here comes the infantry. We've done a fair bit of damage to some units. Done a nice bit of damage to the Temple Guard. That Saurus Warriors is fricked up as well. But there are some units that are in pretty good condition, like this one hasn't been touched. They are going to do some dirty deeds to my deckhands. That sounded incredibly wrong. Coming around the flank a bit, but I'm prepared for it. I did some nice damage to the other cavalry, so we're defending our flanks well. Just got to keep a hold of that front line, protect the artillery as much as possible. Kroq-Gar's charging in. He's got his Bastillodon, so he's disrupting my missiles here. He's stopping 2 of my deck gunners from firing. But I am going to try and focus Kroq-Gar a bit, as he is quite vulnerable here. The deck gunner's getting a little bit run through. I've got my Necrofex and my cannon gunning down Kroq-Gar. Going to send some anti-large after him. Oh, my Necrofex just took one in the face. Took it like a champ. He's fine. Going to get these deck gunners trying to blast down this Bastillodon while my Haunter slaps it in the face. He's lost control, so that's good for us. It won't charge into our deck gunners. It should stay fighting the Haunter. His cavalry needs to get in here. Looks like they're coming over now, but it may be too little too late. Starting to hammer away at Kroq-Gar still. Defending this right side well enough. I spawned up some Prometheans and am now spawning up some of the cavalry, which is obviously Silostra's ability. I'm going to start to hammer around with them on the back of this front line. Jesus, I think I spoke for about 10 minutes straight. Going to drop the old Vangeist's Revenge, whatever the hell it's called. Going to try and do some damage to about 3 units. My own unit in the process took a hit, but I'm wavering these 2, so it was definitely worth it. That one's already routed off. I think it routed off before I did Dispel, but we've done a nice bit of damage. I have wiped out some of my own units, though, which is going to make my deck guards die, basically. Queen Bess has been rattled as well, but we have managed to get rid of Kroq-Gar. The leadership debuff from the Shade Wraiths is probably helping get rid of him, and he's routed off the map now, so they are lordless. And I guess it's kind of a tactic in itself. If you play as the Vampires or the Vampire Coast, a faction that doesn't rout, it's kind of a cheeky tactic to use to sit near the edge of the map because you know that your enemy might rout off the map. There's a cheeky tactic you could use. It's probably a little bit of a shady one though. But the cavalry getting some hammer and anvil, finishing off the leadership of some of these units, and there's just a small pocket of resistance left from these lizard men. Some of them coming back, but I think I've just got too much left for him to handle. Going to get a cav charge in. Temple Guard going to take that in the face. As these are spawned up, I do see them as kind of expendable, so I'm a little bit careless with them. Going to send the Prometheans in as well. They're spawned up, so nothing to worry about losing there really. And that's pretty much going to do it. The white flags start raising. Queen Bess just dropped a bomb here, and that was enough to scare these lizards away. We're going to take it. So maybe 2 wins of the 3 for my first Vampire Coast battles online. But for the most part, my theories seem to hold up. Ranged power is really the key. Working together is really the key as well. Using your deckhands mob mixed in with things like Depth Guard or Rotting Prometheans just to help hold that line while the missiles try to hopefully blast everything to pieces before it gets to them. So yeah, this is me just doing research for the full army guide really. And so far the playstyle is holding up to what I expected. But thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. See you in the future.